My name's Rachel, and I've got a story to tell. I guess I should start at the beginning, with my parents. Mom and Dad got married young. They had it all planned out. Mom would stay home, Dad would bring home the bacon. Well, life's never that simple. I came along not long after they tied the knot. At first, everything was peachy. Mom stayed home with me, Dad worked his butt off. But then Dad lost his job. That's when things started to go south. Mom decided she'd be the breadwinner. Dad? He was stuck at home with me. Let me tell you, he wasn't happy about it. I remember the shouting matches. They'd wait until they thought I was asleep, but the walls were thin. "You need to find a job, Tom," Mom would yell. "I'm trying, Sarah." "You think I like sitting on my ass all day?" Dad would fire back. It went on like that for months. Me, I just tried to stay out of the way. What else could a kid do? Then, out of the blue, Mom's career took off. Some bigwig company offered her a fancy job in another city. Just like that, she was gone. Dad tried to step up. He really did. But he was in over his head. One day, he packed us up and dumped me at Grandpa's place, Mom's dad. "It's just for a little while, Ratch," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Just until I get back on my feet." Grandpa was great, though. He didn't say much, but he always made sure I had what I needed. We fell into a routine, him and me. Then, on my 10th birthday, Mom and Dad showed up. I thought maybe they'd come to take me home. Boy, was I wrong. They had a little girl with them, maybe 2 years old, my sister. I didn't even know I had a sister. "This is Emily," Mom said, like she was introducing a stranger. "We need you to look after her, Dad." Grandpa's eyebrows shot up. "What are you talking about, Sarah?" Dad jumped in. "We're just so busy with work. We can't give the girls the attention they need, but we'll pay you, of course. Enough to hire a nanny." They went on and on about how important their careers were, how they were doing this for us. Building a future, they said. And just like that, I had a sister. And Grandpa? He became our guardian, just like that. They hired a nanny, some woman named Barbara. Emily hated her. She'd scream bloody murder every time Barbara came near her. "Please, Rachel," Grandpa would beg. "Can you help with Emily? She likes you." So I did. I fed her, changed her, read her stories. I became more of a mother to Emily than our own mom ever was. At first, Mom and Dad sent loads of money. We had everything we needed, and then some. But as time went on, the checks got smaller. Sometimes they didn't come at all. Grandpa never complained, but I saw the worry lines on his face. He'd sit at the kitchen table, bills spread out in front of him, muttering to himself. I learned to be thrifty, to make do with what we had. Emily never went without, though. I made sure of that. Time flew by, and before I knew it, I was staring down the barrel of adulthood. College applications were piling up on my desk, but deep down, I knew it was pointless. The money wasn't there. Mom and Dad? They'd vanished into thin air. No calls, no visits, not even a lousy postcard. "Maybe they'll come through," Grandpa said, ever the optimist. But I saw the doubt in his eyes. I remember the day I made my decision. Emily was doing her homework at the kitchen table. Grandpa was dozing in his armchair. I looked at them and knew what I had to do. "I'm not going to college," I announced. "I'm getting a job." Grandpa tried to argue, but I'd made up my mind. The next day, I started job hunting. Ended up at a local diner, waiting tables. The pay was crap, but it was something. Life settled into a new routine. I'd work double shifts, come home dead on my feet, help Emily with her homework, then crash. Rinse and repeat. Then, one day, Grandpa didn't wake up. Just like that, he was gone. The rock that had held our little family together for so long crumbled to dust. I called Mom and Dad, left messages. They never showed, didn't even call back. Emily and I stood alone at the funeral, two sisters against the world. I worked even harder, picking up extra shifts wherever I could. Dating? That was a luxury I couldn't afford. My life revolved around work and Emily. Before I knew it, Emily was 18, cap and gown, waving her high school diploma. College was the next step, and I was determined she'd go, even if it meant working myself to the bone. With Emily gone, the house felt emptier than ever. That's when Jake, my boss at the diner, started paying more attention to me. "You work too hard, Rachel," he'd say, his eyes soft. "Let me take you out sometime." I always brushed him off. Who had time for dating? But Jake was persistent and kind, and slowly I found myself warming up to him. A year after Emily left for college, Jake and I stood in the mayor's office saying, "I do." It wasn't fancy, no white dress or big reception, just us, making a promise to each other. We moved into Grandpa's old house. Jake didn't mind the peeling paint or the creaky floors. "It's got character," he'd say with a grin. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Jake's income meant I could cut back on shifts at the diner. I bought new clothes, treated myself to little luxuries I'd been denying for years. "How about we fix up the old place?" Jake suggested one day, gesturing around Grandpa's now our house. "Give it some TLC?" I hesitated. Money had always been tight, and old habits die hard. But Jake just smiled and squeezed my hand. "We can afford it, Rach. Let's make this place ours." So we did. We painted walls, replaced creaky floorboards, and even splurged on some new furniture. It was cathartic, washing away the years of struggle and replacing them with something fresh and hopeful. When we finished, I couldn't resist snapping a few photos and posting them online. "New beginnings," I captioned them, feeling a sense of pride I hadn't experienced in years. It started with a Facebook message. Mom's name popped up in my inbox, and my stomach dropped. I hadn't heard from her in years, and now here she was, acting like nothing had happened. "Rachel, sweetheart, your father and I just got back from an extended business trip abroad. We've been trying to reach you and Emily. We'd love to reconnect with our girls." I stared at the message, my blood boiling. A business trip? For all these years? Did they think I was an idiot? I took a deep breath and typed out a response. "Please do not contact me again. I have no interest in reconnecting with people who abandoned their children." Then I blocked them. It felt final, like slamming a door shut. But I couldn't shake the nagging worry about Emily. I had to warn her. With trembling fingers, I dialed her number. It's me. Listen, Mom and Dad reached out to me." There was a pause on the other end. "Oh." Emily's voice was carefully neutral. "What did they say?" I filled her in, my words tumbling out in a rush of anger and hurt. "I told them to stay away." "You should do the same, Em. They can't just waltz back into our lives like nothing happened." Another pause. Longer this time. Maybe we should hear them out." Emily's voice was hesitant. "People can change, right? Maybe they realized they made a mistake." I scoffed. The mistake was thinking they could buy their way back into our lives with a few hollow words. "I won't fall for it, and neither should you." Okay, Emily said quickly. "You're right. I won't talk to them either." But there was something in her voice. A hint of, what? Disappointment? Uncertainty? I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it left me feeling uneasy. After we hung up, I sat on the couch, my mind reeling. Jake sat beside me, silent but supportive. Time marched on. Emily was me deep in her college life, and I was settling into my new reality with Jake. At first, Emily and I talked almost every day. She'd gush about her classes, her new friends, and I'd listen, feeling a mix of pride and a twinge of something else. Envy, maybe? But I pushed those feelings aside. This was what I'd worked so hard for, after all. But as the months rolled by, something shifted. The daily calls became weekly, then monthly. Emily's excuses got more frequent and flimsier. "Sorry, Rach, I've got this huge paper due. Can't talk now, heading to a study group. Maybe next week? I'm swamped right now." I tried not to let it bother me. "College is busy," I told myself. "She's just finding her feet." But the knot in my stomach grew tighter with each dodged call. One day, I decided enough was enough. "I'm coming to visit you," I told her over the phone. "Next weekend. I'll bring those cookies you love." There was a pause. Too long. "Oh, Rach. I've got midterms coming up. It's not a good time." "The weekend after then?" "I've got plans with friends. Maybe another time?" It went on like that. Every time I suggested visiting, Emily had an excuse. Eventually, I stopped asking. Jake noticed, of course. He'd find me scrolling through Emily's sparse social media posts, searching for any clue about her life. "Why don't you just go surprise her?" he suggested one night. I shook my head. "She doesn't want me there, Jake. I don't know why. But she doesn't." It hurt, God. It hurt. But what could I do? I couldn't force my way into her life if she didn't want me there. So I stepped back. I stopped calling as much, stopped pushing for visits. I'd check her social media occasionally, but there wasn't much to see. A few generic posts about college life, nothing personal. Then, out of the blue, Emily called. "I'm moving back to town," she announced. My heart leapt. Maybe this was our chance to reconnect. "That's great. You can stay with us while you look for a place." "Oh, I've already found an apartment." She cut me off. "I'm moving in next week." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "Oh, okay, well, do you need help moving?" "No, I've got it covered." "Thanks, though." And just like that, my baby sister was back in town, living just a few miles away, and yet she felt further than ever. I tried to be happy for her. She was independent, making her own way. Isn't that what I'd always wanted for her? But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Life went on. Jake and I were happy. Work was good. But there was always this Emily-shaped hole in my life. I'd see her around town sometimes, at the grocery store or the coffee shop. She'd wave, maybe chat for a minute, but it always felt forced, like she couldn't wait to get away. "Maybe she just needs space," Jake would say, trying to comfort me. "She'll come around." But as the weeks turned into months, and Emily continued to dodge my attempts at getting together, I couldn't help but feel like I was losing her. And I had no idea why. It was just another Tuesday. Jake came home from work, and I could tell something was off. He had this look, like he was chewing on a secret. "Ratch," he said, sitting down next to me. "I ran into my old buddy Mark today. He's getting married." I smiled, not sure why this warranted such a serious tone. "That's great. We should send a gift." He showed me a picture of his fiancée. Jake cut in, his voice careful. "It's Emily." The world tilted on its axis. "What?" "No, that's not possible. Emily would have told me if she was engaged." Jake pulled out his phone, pulled up Mark's social media. And there it was, a photo of Mark, arm around a laughing Emily. The caption read, "Can't wait to marry this girl." I felt like I was falling. There has to be some mistake. Let me check Emily's page. But Emily's page, the one I'd been following all this time, showed nothing. No engagement. No Mark. Nothing. Jake cleared his throat. "There's more, Rach. I found, well, look." He showed me another profile. Emily's face smiled back at me, but it wasn't the page I knew. This one was full of life, photos, status updates, everything. And there, right at the top, was a picture that made my blood run cold. Emily, sandwiched between mom and dad, all three beaming at the camera. The caption read, "Wedding planning with the best parents a girl could ask for. Blessed daughter." I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred, tears threatening to spill over. Jake's arm came around me, steadying me. "It looks like Emily's been living a double life, Rach. This profile, it goes back years when she started college." With shaking hands, I scrolled through the profile. There it all was. The life Emily had been hiding from me. Weekend trips with our parents, family dinners, holidays. All those times she'd been too busy to talk or visit. There she was, smiling with mom and dad. "She lied to me," I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. All this time, she's been lying to me. Jake's arms tightened around me, and I clung to him like a lifeline. In that moment, he was all I had. The betrayal cut deep, deeper than I thought possible. This was Emily, my little sister, the girl I'd raised, the one I'd sacrificed everything for. I'd been more than a sister to her. I'd been a mother when ours had abandoned us. And this was how she repaid me. With lies, secrets, and a family that didn't include me. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of determination. I couldn't let another day go by without confronting Emily. With shaking hands, I dialed her number. Just when I thought she wouldn't pick up, I heard a click. Hello? Emily's voice was cautious. We need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I know about the wedding. I know you've been talking to Mom and Dad. Emily sighed, and when she spoke again, her voice had changed. It was colder, harder. Fine. You want the truth? I'm tired of living like you, Rachel. Always scraping by, always counting pennies. That's not the life I want. Her words hit me like a slap in the face. What are you talking about? I gave you everything I could. Yeah, and look where it got you, Emily scoffed. No college education, working at a diner. I want more than that. Mom and Dad can give me that. I felt like I was drowning. They abandoned us, Emily. And I gave you money for college every year. I sacrificed everything for you. There was a pause. Then Emily laughed. It was a cold sound that I'd never heard from her before. Oh, that money? I used it to buy myself a nice little sports car. And no, before you ask, I'm not paying you back. I couldn't breathe. What? But your college tuition. Mom and Dad paid for that, Emily said, her voice matter of fact. They've been supporting me since I started college. Your money was just extra. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. All those years of scrimping and saving, working extra shifts, denying myself even the smallest luxuries, all so Emily could have a sports car? How could you? I whispered, my voice breaking. I worked so hard for that money. I thought I was helping you build a future. Oh, please, Emily scoffed. Don't act so high and mighty. You chose to live like that. I chose differently. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They abandoned us, and now they're just buying your love with money? So what if they are? Emily shot back. At least they can afford to. They've more than made up for leaving us. They're paying for half the wedding, you know. Mark's family is covering the rest. It's going to be amazing. My heart sank even further. Why? Why didn't you invite me to the wedding? There was another pause, longer this time. When Emily spoke again, her voice was icy. Because you're an embarrassment, Rachel. You're poor, uneducated. You don't fit into my world anymore. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I raised you, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. I was more of a mother to you than she ever was. I never asked you to do that, Emily said, her voice hard. I never asked you to sacrifice yourself for me. That was your choice. I couldn't speak. The lump in my throat was too big. Look, Emily continued, just don't come to the wedding, okay? Don't try to contact me. It's better this way. Before I could respond, she hung up. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. Then, slowly, I lowered the phone and looked at Jake, who had been sitting quietly beside me the whole time. The world I thought I knew had shattered, leaving me adrift in a sea of pain and betrayal. Every memory of Emily, her first day of school, the nights I'd stayed up helping her with homework, all of it was tainted now. I thought about all the dreams I'd put on hold, all the opportunities I'd passed up, all for Emily's sake. And for what? So she could drive a fancy car and marry into money? The unfairness of it all threatened to overwhelm me. As the sobs subsided into quiet hiccups, I felt a new emotion rising in me. Anger. Anger at Emily for her betrayal. Anger at our parents for abandoning us, and then buying Emily's love. Anger at myself for being so blind. After I'd cried myself out, Jake held me at arm's length, his eyes burning with a determination I'd never seen before. I'm calling Mark, he said, his voice firm. He needs to know what kind of person he's marrying. Before I could protest, Jake was already dialing. I listened, numb, as he relayed everything. How I'd raised Emily, how our parents had abandoned us, how Emily had lied and manipulated me for years, how she was ashamed of me and didn't want me at the wedding. I'm sorry, man, Jake said finally, but I can't come to the wedding. And I think you need to seriously reconsider if this is the person you want to spend your life with. When he hung up, the silence in the room was deafening. Days passed in a blur. I moved through life like a ghost, going through the motions, but not really there. The day of the wedding arrived, and despite my better judgment, I found myself watching the live stream. The venue was beautiful, all white flowers and twinkling lights. Guests in fancy clothes milled about, champagne glasses in hand. I saw my parents, looking older, but well-dressed and happy. My stomach churned. Then the ceremony began. Emily looked stunning in her white gown, but all I could see was the little girl I used to tuck in at night. As she reached the altar, I braced myself for the inevitable. But then, something unexpected happened. Mark cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. "Before we begin," he said, his voice echoing through the speakers, "I have something to say." The crowd murmured in confusion. "I've recently learned some things about my bride-to-be that I can't ignore," Mark continued. "Emily, is it true that your sister Rachel raised you after your parents abandoned you both?" Emily's face went white. "Mark, what are you?" "Answer the question, Emily." She nodded, barely perceptible. "And is it true that you've been lying to her for years? That you took money from her for your education when your parents were already paying for it? That you're ashamed of her and didn't invite her here today?" The murmuring grew louder. I saw my parents shifting, uncomfortably. Emily's voice was small when she replied. "You don't understand. What you needed," Mark cut her off, "was to show some gratitude and basic human decency to the woman who sacrificed everything for you." He turned to address the shocked crowd. "I'm sorry, everyone, but there won't be a wedding today. I can't marry someone who would treat their own sister, the person who raised them, with such callousness." I thought I knew Emily, but clearly I was wrong. With that, he walked back down the aisle and out of the frame, leaving a stunned Emily at the altar. The live stream cut off abruptly, leaving me staring at a blank screen, my heart pounding. 4 days after, I heard nothing. Then, about 2 weeks later, I got a text from an old family friend. "Thought you should know, your parents have taken off again. Heard they refused to keep supporting Emily. She's on her own now." I stared at the message, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through me. Part of me felt a vindictive satisfaction. Emily was finally facing the consequences of her actions. But another part, the part that had raised her and loved her unconditionally for so many years, ached at the thought of her struggling. Weeks passed, and life slowly began to return to normal. Jake and I settled into a routine, and I threw myself into work, trying to forget the whole ordeal. But life, as always, had other plans. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Emily standing there, looking nothing like the polished bride I'd seen on the live stream. Her hair was messy, her clothes rumpled, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Rachel," she said, her voice a mixture of desperation and poorly concealed anger. "We need to talk." I stood there, frozen for a moment, before stepping aside to let her in. Jake appeared from the living room, his posture tense. Emily didn't waste any time. "I want my share of Grandpa's house and savings," she demanded. "Half of it is rightfully mine." "No, you have no rights here, Emily." I cut her off, my voice surprisingly calm. I walked over to the bureau, pulled out a document, and handed it to her. "This is Grandpa's will. He left everything to me, the house, the savings, all of it." Emily snatched the paper, her eyes scanning it frantically. I saw the moment it sank in, her face crumpled, then hardened into a mask of fury. "This isn't fair," she screeched. "You manipulated him, didn't you? Made him cut me out?" "I didn't have to do anything," I replied, my voice steady. "Grandpa saw who was there for him and who wasn't. He made his choice." Emily lunged at me then, but Jake was faster. He stepped between us, his voice low and threatening. "I think it's time for you to leave, Emily." She looked from Jake to me, her eyes wild. "You can't do this to me. I'm your sister." "No," I said, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. "You're not anymore. You made your choice, Emily. Now you have to live with it." Jake opened the door, his meaning clear. Emily looked at me one last time, a mixture of anger and disbelief on her face, before storming out. As the door closed behind her, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I turned to Jake, who wrapped me in a tight hug. "You okay?" he murmured into my hair. I nodded, surprised to find that I meant it. "Yeah, I think I am." That night, as I lay in bed, I made a decision. I picked up my phone and went through my social media accounts, unfollowing and blocking Emily on each one. Then, I deleted her number from my contacts. It felt like closing a chapter of my life. A long, painful chapter that had finally come to an end. The sister I'd raised, the one I'd sacrificed so much for, was gone. In her place was a stranger, someone I no longer knew or wanted to know.